Okay, hello everyone. Today we will be talking about Chinese astrology. Now, when we jump into Chinese astrology, it's essential to learn that it is one of the most prolific of all the astrologies because it's one of the oldest ones. Similar to Vedic astrology, everything is based off Eastern astrology and Eastern understanding, right? It derives from Buddhism, Hinduism, and things of that nature. Now, Chinese astrology has a close relation with Chinese philosophy, the theory of the harmony of the sky, humans, and earth, and different principles to the Western. The Wu Qing teachings, Yin and Yang, astronomy, the five planet system, the 10 celestial stems, the 12 earthly branches, the lunar solar calendar, moon calendar, and sun calendar, the time, calculation after year, month, day, and shishe. Shishe, in essence, is just how things come to fruition or how things come apart, right? Now, if we look at this chart, we have about 12 animals and their correlating years, right? Now, all these animals are specifically intertwined within the zodiacal chart because of their duality, their yin yang nature, right? Now, Chinese astrology is the divination of the future from the Chinese calendar, which is based on astronomy and ancient Chinese philosophy. In particular, it is based on the cycle of 60 years that has been documented since the time of the Shang dynasty. At the latest, this basic cycle has been constructed from the two cycles, the 10 heavenly stems, the 5 elements in their yin and yang forms, and the 12 earthly branches, or the 12-year zodiac animals. So, let's break that down, right? So the 12 animals times the 5 elements of their yin yang forms, this number will give you a 60. Now, this 60-year cycle is denoted for it's denoted for a human cycle, right? You have to go through all these elemental phases in your life in order to be complete, right? Now, this is important because this also explains duality in Taoism, right? Now, when we talk about how these animals are so intertwined and how they're so important to how we understand the future, past, and present, it is essential that we learn more about their nature. So, when we talk about elements, in Chinese astrology specifically, there are 5 main elements, right? But before we get into the elements, the 12 zodiac animals, on top of the 12 animals, there are 5 elements which alternate across the animals. So, within the animal that you are, whichever you're born with, within a 60-year cycle, you will go through all 5, right? So, the succession of the elements over the 60-year cycle is simple. Each element influences 2 consecutive years, and after 10 years, when all 5 elements have passed twice, it repeats from the beginning again. After 6 repetitions of a cycle of 60 is complete. So guys, this is a little cheat sheet here as well. Whenever someone tells you their date of birth, whatever the number is ending in, we can instantly know what element they were born with, right? So if I tell you I was born 1998, we could instantly know I was a Yang Earth tiger. Now, if someone said they were born on, let's say, 1944, we would instantly know that they are a Yang Wood, right? Another example is, let's say someone said they were born on 1986. That would be a fire tiger. Now, all of these elements in the numbers are intertwined because of its properties of light and dark, right? Now, let's go through how the zodiac chart came to fruition and how the animals came to fruition. Now, there's a bunch of stories that we could get into. There's a plethora of different stories on how it came to fruition. But specifically, whether we look at how the Jade Emperor lined up all the animals or how Buddha told all the animals to come, we must understand that all these animals have friends and all these animals also have enemies, right? Now, for the story that all these animals were told to come so they could get their placing on the chart, they told them to have a race. Now, in this race, there was 13 animals that were supposed to be there, right? Now, let's start off with the story. All animals lined up on the bank of the river and were given the task of getting to the opposite shore. Their order in the calendar would be set by the order in which the animals managed to reach the other side, right? The cat wondered how he would get across if he was afraid of water. And at the same time, the ox wondered how would he cross the path with his poor eyesight. The calculating rat suggested that he and the cat jump onto the ox's back and guide him across. The ox was steady and hard-working, so that he did not notice a commotion on his back. In the meanwhile, the rat snuck up behind the unsuspecting cat and shoved them into water. Just as the ox came ashore, the rat jumped off the race and finished the race first. Okay? This is where we get this terminology rat race, right? Now, wherever you live, whether this be in the West or wherever you live, the term rat race always comes up, right? Everyone's in this rat race trying to secure financial attainment, physical attainment, whatever the final end goal may be. We are all within this rat race, right? Now, the reason it is called rat race is because the rat won the race, right? Now, it cheated, but it still won the race nevertheless. The ox came second, the tiger came after it, the rabbit came after, so on and so forth, right? And the pig was obviously last, it was 12th. But this story doesn't end with just this, right? So the cat came last, 13th, and it would not be placed on the calendar, right? And this becomes the enemy of the rat forevermore, right? Now, I want us to really understand that the cat has a very symbolic history, and it's a celestial being within our cosmos, right? The cats, there's a reason why they say cats have 9 lives, right? Cats are very etherical creatures, right? Now, why they might not be on the Zodiac chart, they are still very, very powerful creatures, right? And they shown their hatred for rats ever since this, right? But let's also jump into the elements, right? A lot of the Chinese looked to the stars, but some were drawn to the earth, trying to solve the riddles and mysteries of math. They did not know that everything was made up from hundreds and millions of atoms, but instead they thought everything was made up of 5 elements: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. They looked at how these elements could change and explained how nature worked in these terms. Wood goes through a basic change to become fire, flames. Fire turns into earth, ashes. Earth becomes metal, iron and metals mined from the earth. Metal brings water. Metal collects dew if outside overnight. And to make this circle, water produces wood. Wood plants need water to grow. The scientists did not think of the 5 elements as DNA, but more like changing things in nature. And that is how Chinese viewed life and nature. So this change in nature is an honest ideology of how Taoism works, right? It's a change in nature, right? Because that is essentially what we are as humans. And on this cosmic land, we are constantly in rebirth. We are constantly coming into elements, receiving elements, and letting elements go, right? This is constant change in patterns, right? So if we look at this chart specifically, we see how all the elements are intertwined, how elements are controlled and they could generate each other. We could see how water controls fire, fire controls metal, metal controls wood, wood controls earth, and they generate each other. Earth generating metal, metal generating water, water generating wood, wood generating fire, and these are all intertwined, right? This is how the cosmic relations are intertwined. So this is how all these zodiac animals are coming with their elements, right? Now, when you're born with, let's say you were born as a fire tiger, you will now sustain the other 4 elements through your 60-year period. And you will see what you are in lacking of, and what you are, they are not, right? There is a terminology that goes, for what I am, they are not, right? So this ideology simply means for whatever you are, the other person will not, right? Or what you are not, they will, right? So this is that similar concept. This is this similar concept in Taoism. We will also just simply look over some of the positives and negatives of all the elements, right? We have positives for the earths, positives for the fire, metals, woods, and waters. We also have their negative stuffs, right? All these traits are specific to the element and what they are missing and how the other elements bring that, right? Everything in nature is duality. For one that is not, the one that will be. For one that is feminine, there will be a masculine. For they are dark, there will be a light. For the sun, there will be a darkness, right? There will be light and day, light and night. There will just be constant duality within everything in nature. And that is systemically what Chinese astrology wants us to understand. Now, when it comes to compatibility, right? When we look at this chart, there is a trine within all the animals, right? All animals have a trine, a big three, right? So the first big three would be the rat, dragon, and monkey, right? They are intense and enthusiastic lovers, right? The other trine is the ox, snake, and rooster, right? And this is another harmonious group, right? The three soulmates conquer life through endurance, application, and the slow accumulation of energy, right? The third trine, we have tiger, horse, and dog, right? These three signs seek another's company and are like-minded in their pursuit of humanitarian causes. The final fourth trine is the rabbit, goat, and pig. These three signs are artistic, refined, and well-mannered. They desire our preliminaries in romance and are fine artists of lovemaking, right? These people want to have a family, things of that nature. And while all these animals have a trine, right, and they have idealistic partners, right, they also have direct opposition, right? Now, this explains duality of life, right? This explains yin yang in a higher degree, right? Now we see right across, when you look at any of these, that is the enemy sign. Right across any of these signs is the enemy sign. Now, all these animals are essential. No animal is more important than the other. Just because one sounds more aggressive or looks more appealing does not mean one is better than the other. The dog is just as important as the dragon, and the pig is just as important as the tiger, as vice versa, as the rat is just as important as the goat, and the snake is just as important as the ox, and the ox is just as important as the monkey. They're all here for a reason. Without them, there would not be duality, right? They are all needed to create this cosmic understanding. Now, let's get into yin yang. Yin, moon, yang, sun. So when we look at the moon and the sun, the dark, the light, the feminine, the masculine, the water, the fire, the black, the white, the passive, the active, negative and positive, night, day, empty, full, cold, hot, no, yes, left, right, south, north, east, west, right? When we look at this is yin yang. Now, if we split this chart right across the middle, we would see half and half, the yin and the yang, right? According to the Chinese philosophy, the whole universe is controlled by two primal forces. These are known as yin yang, right? Everything can categorize according to this system, from people to furniture and even countries. The balance of the universe, earth and nation, and even the health and the moods of individuals are determined by the balance or imbalance of yin yang, right? This symbol is extremely prestigious in an understanding of Taoism, right? This is how we understand duality. This is how we understand why things are happening, or why certain situations are happening in such a Fibonacci sort of sequence, right? So the ideal balance of yin yang is depicted by the symbol shown above. As the yang part, being white, decreases, the yin part, black, increases. When one is at its height, the other is at its lowest ebb. Often people assume the yang is male and yin is female. This is not quite true. They are associated with opposite genders. Each contains within the self the seed of the other. So even though yang is a masculine force, women can possess it. In such ways, yin and yang are opposing yet complementary principles. Neither is more important than the other, and only together do they make a whole. This is the ideology of man and woman coming together. No one is better than the other. The law of the universe states the law of gender is relative, right? There is a duality. Neither is greater than the other. Both are needed to create the cosmic whole. Both are needed to create this full circle, right? Dark and light, the yin and the yang, right? This is needed to create the circle of life. Now, the Chinese understood this, putting in a system of these animals and understanding that these are intertwined within the cosmos, and understand how it impacts us, is a good way to understand yin yang and how these balances are important for the universe and our health and moods, right? Now, just to finalize some things, Chinese zodiac is extremely important because you could learn so much about sequences. You could learn so much about why things are timed the way it is, why certain people enter your life, and how these people will impact or shape your formalities or shape your future, right? This all has importance, right? Because every animal has their set of traits. Every animal has their set of flaws. Every animal is elemental. Every person is different in nature because of these patterns, right? Because of these time frames, right? Now, what I want to get into is understanding this concept, right? This concept of simply just understanding how this is all related, right? How Taoism really correlates with everything in the cosmos, okay? And how Yin Yang really orchestrates everything within the cosmos, right? Now these sort of topics aren't talked about often because they don't want you to understand this, right? Now in the West, in the US, right? Let's look at this chart here. Now 2016 is the year of the monkey. Now 2016 is also the year, well, for me, I was born 98, so I'm the year of the tiger, right? 98 Earth Tiger. In the West, in the US, there's a reason why when you turn 18, 2016 is when I turned 18, when you turn 18 on your enemy year, this is the year they want you to make all your frivolous decisions. They want you to make, this is the year you're allowed to smoke, this is the year you're allowed to vote. Some places you could drink, smoke. I mean, drinking 21 some places, but either way, you could still go to college, you could still make investments, you could do all major decisions at 18. Why? Because they want you to fall astray in this, right? They want you to fail in your beginning enemy years. That's why they want to indoctrinate the system at 18, right? They want you to fail, but you shall not fail because it is impossible to fail because everything is a duality of itself. You will not be incomplete in nature because whatever you're missing, you will eventually get because all the elements will spin within the 60-year cycle. So everything that you have or what you have not, you will and you will not as well because everything is duality, right? So when I try to finalize these points is we have to understand how these patterns are patterns within our lives and things we see in our lives and Fibonacci sequences we see in our lives, whether it be patterns, perspectives, people, these things are reoccurring for a reason. The things you are seeing and doing and the thoughts you have are happening for a reason, right? These are systemically intertwined within the stars and into the cosmos and how these atoms interact with us, right? And how we move from a day-to-day process. Now, Chinese astrology is especially important if you want to learn more about reading into the future because while I can't tell you certain things can happen on a specific date or a specific year, I can tell you that something catastrophic may happen on the year of the pig because it will be the end of the cycle, right? I may be able to tell you something like that could happen, but either way, there will be so much nuance. But what's the best thing to understand is eventually it is all coming full circle, right? Everything is coming to make a full whole. The yin and the yang are complementary principles, and this is essentially saying that no spirituality is greater than the other. They are all complementary of each other. Now guys, this was just a basic understanding of everything about Chinese astrology. There's so much more in depth. There's so much more to learn about specific animals and their relations within the cosmos and their relations to other animals. But this was just a small video, guys. Thank you guys for watching, guys. Thank you.